Hey there, all you filthy heathens. This is Kirk coming back to you again. I thought I'd do this is kind of an impromptu thing. I wasn't planning on doing any kind of show today. I just decided that I saw a bunch of news going on the last couple days, and I really wanted to bring it to you. So, as you can see, it's gonna be a little bit of a boring show because we're gonna do mostly just a stroll through my Twitter for the last couple days. So. I had a little bit of an epiphany today, where just this week, like in the last week, but especially the last couple days, it really feels like the COVID narrative is falling apart. At the same time, it's obvious that Joe Biden's presidency is imploding on itself, and it looks like Trump's chances of being a credible candidate in 2024 are crumbling. They're not looking good right now. If you asked me 3 months ago about Trump's chances of being the nominee in 2024, I would have said 100% or somewhere in the 90s. It's not looking that way anymore, and today was kind of a big deal, and especially over the last couple of weeks, it has gotten bad. So that's the first stroll through the Twitter here. So, it does feel like there's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm with those three things specifically, I'm not sure if I should be scared or hopeful. Short term, I think I'm probably pretty scared about how this changes things because there's so much chaos. You don't know what comes out of it. But I think what comes out of it is eventually something better. That's what I think. If you guys don't follow Michael Malice on Twitter, he's one of the best Twitter follows. I definitely recommend that. He's coming out with a book soon called The White Pill. I'm going to buy that as soon as it comes out because it sounds very interesting on his take when you hear his interviews and things like that. His take on how short term he's what's called black pilled. We're really pessimistic, but over the long term, he really feels like everything's going in kind of a good direction eventually. So that's what I'm doing today, is kind of going over those three aspects of modern American culture. And COVID's a worldwide thing, so hopefully this narrative falls apart much, much faster so other parts of the world can get back to normal as well. So let's start with the COVID narrative. The COVID narrative is obviously breaking down. Basically, everything that was a conspiracy theory 2 years ago, it's all been true. It's all shown to be. If it's not proven true, it's the likelihood of it having been true is very high. Things like the lab leak theory, that's almost certain that where it came from was a lab leak in China, which everyone knew, but apparently it was a conspiracy theory for 2 years, but now it's true, I guess. So you keep, things like that are now coming out. We realize that, the CDC director came out. She has no idea how many people have actually died from COVID. That 800,000 number that you hear in the United States is people that died with COVID. So we don't know if they died from COVID or with COVID. And there are, right now we'll call them conspiracy theories, but I've seen numbers anywhere from it's only 50,000 people in the last 2 years that have died from COVID. And then I've heard that, maybe it's inflated by about 40%. So, whatever that is, somewhere, it could be somewhere around maybe 500,000 that have died from COVID. So that's a huge gap right there. And the CDC does not know this. How they have not been collecting this data over the last 2 years is beyond me. So, but the thing that really caused shit to hit the fan was actually, wouldn't you know it, Project Veritas. Project Veritas, again, has never, when they get sued, they never lose. So, which means that their reporting is solid. And considering they always have either a video of someone sending something, or they have the actual documents in hand and have done some proper verification, I tend to trust them. Now, I know they tend to have a right-wing slant, and I'm right-wing, so yeah, I'm going to be probably a little bit biased towards trusting them. But they tend to be right. So what do you want to do? And I don't mean right wing. I mean tend to be correct. So it looks like we have some military documents about gain of function research that contradict Fauci's testimony under oath. So the military documents state that EcoHealth Alliance approached DARPA, which is a defense basically people that look for new research into weapons. So they approached DARPA in March 2018, seeking funding to conduct gain of function research on bat-borne coronaviruses. Does that sound familiar at all? So, Project Veritas again obtained startling, never-before-seen documents regarding the origins of COVID-19, gain-of-function research, vaccines, potential treatments which have been suppressed, and the government's effort to conceal all of this. So, here's what I want to make sure I'm clear on. The only thing that's really in question about this document that Project Veritas obtained, and you can go and you can read the information. It's on their website. I pulled it up here. It's it's their top line thing on their website, projectveritas.com. They the only thing that's in question is this legitimately what was going on, or is this a person in DARPA who is basically giving his opinion on what's happening? So you could have people in the Defense Department who are like, hey, this is what it seems like is going on. This is what I'm hearing on the news. This is what I'm hearing on social media. This is what I'm seeing on social media. There's a lot of this stuff's going on. So that's really what I've seen over the last couple of days. The only thing that is really at odds here is this a legit, this is what we're doing kind of thing? We are suppressing information. We're trying to blow this thing out of proportion. We're trying to cover up the fact that the U.S. taxpayer funded this virus being created and funded the lab that leaked this virus out to the world. Because remember, the Chinese government covered this up when it came out. They weren't forthcoming about the information. We know that the virus most likely started coming out around November, December of 2019. So there's a lot of that stuff happening, and now we're finding out that Department of Defense has an organization that was that Fauci went to, or at least his department went to try to bypass the gain of function limitations that were had at the time. So there's that. So you can see that Fauci is a liar. We've known that for at least a year. I really stopped trusting Fauci probably mid 2020. I gave him the benefit of the doubt for about 6 months, maybe less than that, probably like 4 months, but still, people were calling for him to be fired back in April of 2020, and I was like, wait, no, don't fire him just yet. But once it got to 4th of July in the U.S., I was done with COVID. I was done with lockdowns. I was done with masks. I was done with everything, and I was more than willing to say we need to fire this son of a bitch. So Fauci is a liar, and now we know. I mean, you can see Luke Rudkowski at Luke We Are Change on Twitter. He posted the video of Rand Paul just demolishing Fauci. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that video for you right now.
The idea that a government official like yourself would claim unilaterally to represent science, and that any criticism of you would be considered a criticism of science itself, is quite dangerous. Central planning, whether it be of the economy or of science, is risky because of the fallibility of the planner. It would not be so catastrophic if the planner were simply one physician in Peoria. Then the mistakes would only affect that physician's patients, the people who chose that physician. But when the planner is a government official like yourself who rules by mandate, the errors are compounded and become much more harmful. A planner who believes he is the science leads to an arrogance that justifies, in his mind, using government resources to smear and to destroy the reputations of other scientists who disagree with him. In an email exchange with Dr. Collins, you conspire, and I quote here directly from the email, to create a quick and devastating published takedown of 3 prominent epidemiologists from Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. Apparently there's a lot of fringe epidemiologists at Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. And you quote in the email that they, or from Dr. Collins, and you agree that they are fringe. And immediately there's this takedown effort. A published takedown, though, doesn't exactly conjure up the image of a dispassionate scientist. Instead of engaging them on the merits, you and Dr. Collins sought to smear them as fringe and take them down. And not in journals, in lay press. This is not only antithetical to the scientific method, it's the epitome of cheap politics, and it's reprehensible, Dr. Fauci. Do you really think it's appropriate to use your $420,000 salary to attack scientists that disagree with you?
The email you're referring to was an email of Dr. Collins to me. If you look at the email
that you responded to and hurried up and said, I can do it. We got something in Wired magazine.
No. I think in usual fashion, Senator, you are distorting everything about me.
Did you ever object to Dr. Collins' characterization of them as fringe? Did you write back to Dr. Collins and say, no, they're not fringe, they're esteemed scientists, and it would be...
So, as you can see, that, Rand Paul has been doing God's work on this. This is, Fauci needs someone holding to the fire, and I'm really glad Rand Paul is there. I do wish he would basically kind of sometimes step back and just let Fauci hang himself, because Fauci has shown in the past that he will hang himself figuratively in congressional testimony when he's pressured. So this is something that you're seeing. The main architect of this whole response, Fauci, has been shown to be a liar, and he really is just terrible all the way around. However, I've said I think Fauci deserves a taxpayer-funded Caribbean vacation. I think we should send him on a taxpayer-funded Caribbean vacation. Gitmo is nice this time of year. There's year-round waterboarding. Absolutely, let's send Fauci to the Caribbean on an extended vacation, taxpayer funded. I'm all for it. So you can see the COVID narrative just falling apart, just completely. At the same time, since the COVID narrative is falling apart, the main reason why COVID is such a big deal is that it helped somebody win an election. So it got Joe Biden elected. COVID, and I said this in previous videos, you can go back and watch. Joe Biden is only president today because of COVID-19. If COVID-19 had never happened, Trump would have destroyed Biden. It's without a doubt. There would not have been all of these changes to election laws that in a lot of states actually probably are illegal, and the courts just kind of said, oh, well, election's over now, too late. There's a lot of that. There was a lot of that going on. Not only that, but Trump was kind of riding high, and I think with a good economy, he had ended some wars. He'd gotten us out of certain places, and on top of that, towards the end of his first term, right before the election, he brokered some really solid peace deals between Israel and some other Islamic states. So you have that kind of record going into an election where. You got a great economy, and you saw Trump. He did well with better with certain demographics that he was struggling with before. He would have won re-election. That really would not have changed. He would have won that re-election. COVID is the reason Donald Trump lost that election. So, but the current president right now, Joe Biden, has been so historically awful. He's being already compared. He's 1 year in, and he's already being compared to Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter took a couple of years to suck this bad. Probably like 3 years to really suck this bad. Joe Biden is doing it in less than a year. For George W. Bush to get these kind of poll numbers, and I'll show them to you here in a second, it took him 6 years, 2 failed wars, and an historic economic meltdown to be hated this much. And Joe Biden's doing it in less than a year. So let's go over, these are the Quinnipiac polls. Do you approve of Biden? And we'll just break them down real quick. Right now, he's at 33% approval. Trump never got that low, ever. So, I mean, even after Charlottesville, Trump never got that low when they made up that lie about the fine people on both sides. Trump never got that low. He's already at 33%. I think what we're showing here right now is that Trump had a floor and Trump had a ceiling when it comes to, and I mean, if you listen to Ben Shapiro at all, I'm kind of ripping him off on this. Trump had a floor and a ceiling. He was never going to drop below, say, 45% approval, and he was never going to be above 55%. He just, that wasn't who Trump was. He was never going to ever really get much more above 50% at all. Biden, on the other hand, I think Biden has a ceiling, and I think it's right around 52 to 53%. I think he has a ceiling. I don't think he'll go much higher than 53% or so, because I think Democrats are going to like him in general, and you'll get a few of the independents who kind of say, oh, well, we got to give him a chance, and he seems like a nice guy, even though if you go back and just you can pull videos of him, he's worse than Donald Trump. If he had a Twitter, if he had posted a lot of the stuff that he said to people's faces, at their face, at rallies, things like that, if you'd put that stuff on Twitter, it's worse than Donald Trump. So keep that in mind. But let's go over this. Obviously, Joe Biden's going to do terrible with the GOP, but I mean, 2%, that's actually kind of low for the most part. A lot of times most presidents of the opposite party tend to get a little bit higher than 2%. Usually they get around 5%. This one is actually really rough. Democrats, 14% of Democrats disapprove of Joe Biden. I don't think I ever saw that even for George W. Bush. I don't think 14% of Republicans dislike George W. Bush. That's crazy. Everything is really bad for Joe Biden. Independents, 25% approve, 57% disapprove. That's awful. That's just 100% terrible. Men hate Joe Biden because, I'm a man. I can't stand him. I don't think he should even run, just based on his lack of mental acuity. You're doing bad as a Democrat when women don't like you. Usually women tend to at least be kind of like a 50-50, kind of thing. But no, you're plummeting with women. The two things that should freak Biden out the most, the two demographics that should freak him out the most, are Black and Hispanic. If 27% of Black people voted for Donald Trump in 2020, it would have been a landslide. So that is a crushing number right there. You have to put in perspective, Joe Biden was on the ticket in 2008 and 2012 with Barack Obama. Both of those elections, Barack Obama won 95% of the Black vote. Barack Obama has always maintained a very high popularity rating with the Black community, with Black people. Joe Biden is not pulling those numbers, and this does not look good, especially going into a midterm election year. And Hispanic voters, 51%. It's the same thing. If Hispanic voters had turned out at 51% for Donald Trump, it would have been a slaughter in 2020. So this is not looking good. It's not great. And, if you keep going down the Quinnipiac poll, you're seeing a lot of things that are not looking good for Democrats and for Joe Biden specifically. It's just not good. Here's the only good thing I can find for Joe Biden in the last couple of months. That the U.S. government is deciding to deregulate French dressing. That's the best thing. It's like, yeah, this totally makes up for the skyrocketing inflation, the high gas prices, and his blatant surrender in Afghanistan. Totally fine. So, yeah, That's awful. And then to top it all off, remember, going back to the COVID stuff, I mean, if I have to watch it, you have to watch it. So let's take a look.
You gonna get corona from Mona. Don't vaccinate. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. You gotta vaccinate in the Lone Star State. Vaccination is so great. Vaccinate me all day long. Vaccinate your daddy and mom. Vaccinate my body. Vaccinate me at the party. A vaccine dream. I love the vaccine all day long. I want to vaccinate your mom. I want to stick it deep in your arm. Oh, ma, where are you? I want to vaccinate you, but you can't hear my song. Vaccinate me in my thong. Vaccination, right or wrong. Dr. Fauci, give me that ouchie. I want it in my body. Vaccinate me to go to the party. Oh, Mara's back. Vaccinate me, white or black. Vaccinate you. Vaccinate who? Vaccinate you all day long. Vaccinate your dad and mom. Vaccinate me in my thong. Vaccinate the mayor. I am a vaccination player. What can I say? I'm the real round sayer. Prime time, 99 on the ground. All the time, I blow your mind, I spit the rhyme, I commit the crime, I'm always on time because I'm 99, out of shot, and I grind the shot, and I blow your mind. One more time, vaccinate your mind, vaccinate your body, vaccinate your life, leave your vaccination party. I love y'all, peace, God bless. Follow my Instagram, IG.
Your time is up.
Primetime Stein.
Thank you. Brian.
Yeah, Joe Biden thinks that guy's on the right side of history. Right. Okay. So, moving on. Now I said that Joe Biden's presidency is imploding, and there are some numbers that show that people are liking Trump more than Biden right now. But Trump is actually, he's doing his best to ruin himself. Now I know that was said a lot in 2015 and 2016 leading up to that election. But this is somebody who doesn't really, I don't know what he's doing, because he doesn't seem to be really engaged with his own base. He doesn't know his own base and what they're thinking. And I don't know where he's going with that. And you know it's bad when Ann Coulter, the first person I remember coming out and actively supporting Trump, was Ann Coulter. And Ann Coulter was, she was a big influence on me when I was in late high school, early college. And she's your, bombastic conservative. She kind of fancied herself a woman Rush Limbaugh a little bit, without, instead of using the microphone and the radio, she wrote books. And she went on talk shows and stuff like that. So, and it's really bad because she is actually, calling him a liar and a con man. She's rightly pointing out that Trump is demanding to know Ron DeSantis' booster status. And that is not playing well to me. I'm your standard run-of-the-mill conservative right-wing person. Trump is not endearing himself to me. He is kind of sliding himself back to what I thought of him in 2016, where I was like, he'd be better than Hillary, but, am I going to hold my nose to vote for him? I mean, he's kind of getting his way back there with me. So when you lose Ann Coulter, if you're Trump, you're losing Ann Coulter on more than just Trump didn't finish the wall. You're losing him on other things as well. I mean, it's starting to crumble. Whether or not he can actually win a nomination for the Republican Party. So now, granted, I mean, it's still 2 years away at least before you start running. So for president, so that's still, probably a year away for Trump, but most likely he'll wait it out and probably do it closer to 2024. But yeah, it's not looking good there, and he's attacking the guy who is basically the best person to replace him as the leader of the Republican Party. And so I think he sees a threat in DeSantis, and the only place he can really attack DeSantis is on the whole vaccine thing. And the Republican base, I'm vaccinated. I have videos where I said, hey, I went over the vaccine. I got the vaccine. Here are the side effects for me. If you think it's best for you, go and get vaccinated. If you don't, more power to you. I mean, I've told you guys I've told you in other stuff, I got the COVID, even though I'm vaccinated. I got the COVID. It was a bad cold. I kicked it, moved on. I have family members who are not vaccinated. They got the same COVID at the same function. They kicked it, moved on. So do what's best for you. But, we're going to keep it moving. And then to top it all off today, Trump, I don't know why Trump went on NPR. I really don't understand. NPR is not a friendly news organization for Trump. Maybe that's why he went on there. But if you're going to go on a unfriendly news site, unfriendly news outlet, you need to be prepared. And Trump got pressed on some of his election claims. Now, I never trust a news outlet that calls things, that states things as lies or, basically has that political slant in the headlines. Don't trust news organizations like that. But if you're pressed on claims you're making and you should be able to answer those questions. You should have at least a canned response, something that you can go to, some sort of outline where you're just like, oh, if they press me on this, I'm going to say, well, what about this? You used to be president of the United States, and I wish you still were president of the United States, but you have to be better than this. And if you can't handle a rough interview, then you can't be president. And we can't, as someone who generally votes Republican, I've never not voted for Republican at the presidential level. This guy can't be the leader of the party if this is the image he's going to portray. Oh, you're going to push me? Well, I'm out of here. We already have one grumpy old man in the White House. At least he can hide behind his senility. Trump, you need to stand there and take it. You need to be able to answer the questions. He had a hard time even with Candace Owens. So it's I think you're seeing Trump kind of slowly crumble, and I think eventually the Republican Party, and you're going to see people who are loyal Trump supporters, people that are more loyal than I am, that's for sure, start to go, well, he is going to be over 80 in 2024, or I think he'll probably be 80. Maybe we should move on. Ron DeSantis, this is a nice new toy. Let's go ahead and use this guy. That will probably be that's kind of where I'm hoping it goes, because I've said this, I believe, in one of my first episodes. Under no circumstances do I want Trump to run for re-election. Would I vote for him over Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or basically any Democrat? Absolutely. But under no circumstances do I want him to run for re-election. I think Ron DeSantis is the right guy, and Ron DeSantis winning re-election of Florida solidifies him as the right guy. So 2022 election of Florida, that's going to be a big deal. Ron DeSantis wins that. Every Republican should just kind of stay out. I think the only Republicans that should run against Ron DeSantis are ones that cannot win. No, they cannot win, but will at least give him a little bit of chance to get some spotlight. Basically, have Ted Cruz and Rand Paul run against Ron DeSantis. Have one of those guys run against them. Definitely, I would say definitely Ted Cruz. Have Ted Cruz go in there. He's a solid conservative. In general, he is liked and appreciated in the Republican Party. And Ron DeSantis beating Ted Cruz, put some shine on him. Kind of like WWE. Kind of like professional wrestling. You want, if you can't have your top guy get beaten, but you want to put the title on somebody else, you can have that top guy come in and kind of give some shine to your new top guy in some way. And I think Ron DeSantis being able to beat Ted Cruz in the primary, I think that's a solid way to do that. But right now, not looking good for Donald Trump. So that's all I got for you today. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, these videos go up on Rumble at least 24 hours before I put them on YouTube. It's just my way of basically trying, I eventually hope to get enough subscribers over on Rumble where I might just, shut the YouTube down. I don't know yet. Follow me at Heathen Kirk on Twitter. That's where you get kind of more, where I get a bit more, crazy on Twitter. So follow me there. Again, like I said in my last video, I'm still thinking about getting together. I don't know just yet. I'm still a little bit concerned about some of the things I'm hearing about it. We'll see. I mean, I've gotten enough strikes on Twitter. Eventually, they might just decide to dump me. Also, I am a diehard Cincinnati Bengals fan, so I will be rooting for them. So make sure you watch them. Hopefully, this is the year they break the curse of Bo Jackson. Unfortunately, we were the team that broke Bo Jackson and ended his athletic career. So hopefully this is the year we break it. It's been 31 years. I remember watching that game that they lost. And it has been so long since they've won a playoff game. I cannot remember them winning a playoff game. I cannot remember watching them win a playoff game. So I'm really hoping my Cincinnati Bengals pull it out this year, at least get one win. Luckily, they're playing against a team that I hate the most, the Raiders. So it'll either be a really good thing or a really bad thing. But over the last 20 years, there have only been 3 seasons where I really believed the Bengals that if they could win one playoff game, they would win the Super Bowl. And that was back in 2005, back in 2015, and then this year. So let's do this, Joey B and the Bengals. Go out there, win a playoff game, get this going, and hopefully get on to that Super Bowl. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Share this with your friends. If you think I'm great, leave me a comment. Tell me I'm great. If you think I'm full of shit, leave me a comment and tell me I'm full of shit. In fact, leave me 2. Tells me I'm full of shit. I'm cool with that. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks, guys.